So Douglas Murray has given his thoughts on the anti-Hamas protests that we have seen in Gaza. We saw recently there's large crowds of people saying, enough with Hamas, down with Hamas. They raising the white flag, saying surrender to Israel. I was relatively suspect of it. Actually, I say relatively, very suspect of it. Not because I deny what they're saying, but because they're doing this purely out of self-interest. There's nothing noble about this. It's not a virtuous stand against the evils of Hamas. It's just they're seeing that they're losing. Anyway, Piers Morgan talks to Douglas about these protests. Here's his response.
And there is a solution to this. There is an answer to this, which is that if Gaza is to have any future as a Palestinian entity, its young people are not brought up to believe their purpose in life should be the annihilation of their neighbors. Hamas had 18 years. They could have educated their young in a different way, but they didn't. And now, if anything, is the time when they could. And these brave Gazans, who finally, thank God, have started to uprise, and we'll see how real it is, but it's clearly real because there was a very brave young Gazan man the other day who stood up against Hamas, and he was tortured, and his body was dumped on his family's front door by Hamas a couple of days later. We'll see if these protests have any results. But one thing that is important to remember is it's perfectly likely, in fact, it seems overwhelmingly likely to me, that these protests against Hamas that are trying to kindle in Gaza are not because they are, and again, I'm reading into this, but it seems likeliest to me. It's not because these are people who you and I, the average American or Brit or anything, would love to sit down with. It's that they have decided they've had enough of Hamas's rule, because it was Hamas's rule and misrule and its corruption and then its starting of a war that has led the people of Gaza to this terrible position. A final quick thing on that, if I may, which is also, let's not forget that in the lies upon lies that have been built up in the last 18 months, so many people have been able to simultaneously point out the considerable youth boom in Gaza. And they're the same people who have been saying since 2005 that the Israelis are committing genocide in Gaza. Choose, guys. Choose which of these things is true, because they can't both be.
That's a really important point to end on. By the way, it's becoming clearer now through more analysis of the Gaza Ministry of Health's data that actually it may well not just be that 1 in 2 that are killed in this Hamas war, Israel-Hamas war, are Hamas combatants, but it's actually closer to 2 in 3, which would be the most surgical precision ever seen in the history of modern urban warfare, especially given the fact that Hamas embed themselves among civilian populations. In fact, something I thought about recently is they don't just embed themselves. They have all these tunnels. They let the civilians be the collateral damage, and they're underground. A Hamas politician was asked, I saw on a video recently, it was on an Arab channel, and they said, why don't you let the civilians go into the tunnels to protect them? You've built this vast tunnel network bigger than the London Underground. And they said, why don't you let civilians go there? And he said, because that's for Hamas. Tells you all you need to know. But I think what Douglas is saying, and what I reflect on, is that the Arabs are doing this, and they're starting to reject Hamas, not because of any virtuous thing, not because we'd want to sit down with them and think, oh gosh, yeah, they're so wonderful, simply because of self-interest. They're seeing Hamas are losing. And let's not forget, they celebrated on October 7th, the Gazans. They celebrated what happened because they thought they're winning. They thought this is the beginning of the Al-Aqsa flood. They thought this is the beginning of the Islamist dream of destroying Israel, God forbid. Now they're realizing, no, it's not working. There's a big lesson to draw from this, which is that the Arab world respects strength. Whichever side it comes from, they respect strength. And for too long, Israel has shown weakness. It's shown its willingness to divide the land, to appease, to be soft. And when they smell weakness, they don't respect that. They think that's a chance to pounce on you. So how about Israel learn a lesson from this, which is that they should be showing uncompromising strength. Not only will they win that way, but they'll actually gain the respect of the Arab world. I remember there were these memes going around throughout the Arab world after Israel got Nasrallah. No one thought that could happen. Israel could get the head of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah. They got him, and there were memes going out through the Arab world saying King Bibi, celebrating what Bibi did. So we should be clear that it's time for us to learn from our neighbors. I think this is a video I'd quite like to do, which is how actually we need to learn from the tactics of Israel's enemies. And the two things that happen in the Arab world, which Israel doesn't really seem to always appreciate, is that they respect uncompromising strength and people that invoke the name of God. That's Arab culture when it comes to war. Israel for too long has been talking to a secular Western world in justifying what they do, in dictating how they act. And it's gotten nowhere because Israel is in the Middle East. And the Jewish people are ultimately, authentically, a Middle Eastern people. So as Mossab Hassan Youssef said, it's time for Israel to do things the Middle Eastern way, show uncompromising strength, and justify Israel's cause by invoking the name of God.
Hi, thank you so much for watching. To watch another one, click here. To stay up to date with all our content, click here to subscribe. And if you're able to, you can help support JTV to grow and grow by clicking join below this video, where you can become a member and get perks including early access to videos and private live discussions with me. But most of all, you'll be partnering with us on our mission to change the world.